Springboks up against Portugal this weekend, folks. First ever meeting between these two sides. As much as many of us would have loved to have seen South Africa up against Ireland game number 3, the decider, I feel like a lot of us also want the likes of Portugal, Georgia, Fiji to get more games up against the likes of the Boks, the All Blacks, the Wallabies, etc. So this is a cracking first meeting between these two sides. It's on at Bloemfontein this weekend. We'll go through the squads, some stats, predictions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on what it's going to go down in this historic first ever matchup between these two sides. And certainly Portugal is one of the kind of good news stories about that Tier 2 level of rugby. They've had some pretty good recent performances and really like to play some entertaining rugby. Obviously, they've been on the continent for a little while now because they played Namibia last week, so hopefully they are acclimatized and ready to rip into to the Springboks and give them a good go. For the Springboks, they have made a whole bunch of changes. Rassi spoke about them and definitely said this is not a B team. He would back this side to give the Irish side last week a good run for their money, and based on some of the talent that's available, you can't really doubt him. It looked like he's got a cold. He looked a little bit under the weather, did Rassi. I'm not sure if he's just tired, but he genuinely looked to be a bit under the weather, but fingers crossed he's all good. And he's named a whole bunch of debutants in the side, which is pleasing to see because some of these guys you feel like have been there or thereabouts of the Springbok side for quite some time. Wessels is going to get his first cap at loosehead prop, and he's a local boy, I believe, to Bloemfontein. So great college boy. Big one for him to get that debut in his kind of home area. So big congratulations to him. And Johan Grobbelaar as well. He's been surely the third best guy in South Africa. I mean, I know Dion Fourie kind of stepped into that role as well, but he's been knocking on the door of that hooker jersey for quite some time for the Bulls. So really pleasing for him. And then Thomas du Toit. Geez, he got some competitiveness to go through a tight head if he can't make the kind of usual starting Springbok side because he's been having a cracking year as well. So that is the front row. A little bit light on experience, but I don't think light on talent. Second row of Moerat and Snyman. So these guys are both guys who featured against Ireland, but from the bench, they'll be promoted to starting roles in this one. And Salmaan Moerat is going to captain the side, so a big congratulations to him. That's a massive achievement. Buthelezi, Dixon, and Roos are the back rowers. So Phepsi Buthelezi is another one who's been, you feel like, knocking on the door for quite some time. A lot of fans have been keen to see him get a crack at Springboks level, but it's another one where it's just, where do you fit him into the side? Because there's so many back rowers kind of in the kind of existing guys that already have those positions, but he's a really good all-rounder. Rassi talked about kind of wanting to see him fill that Steel Khaleesi role in terms of his work around the park. Ben Jason Dixon kind of filling the Peter Steph du Toit role, and Rassi also kind of mentioned that he likes the way the squad is having a balance of the kind of couple of established guys and the one guy knocking on the door. So the likes of Ben Jason Dixon and Phepsi Buthelezi are these guys knocking on the door. So it's a chance for them to really put their hands up. And Evan Roos, certainly a big ball carrying number 8. We'll be looking to see him get some real meterage from that jersey. Veteran Cobus Reinach is there at number 9. We'll be seeing if he's still got that gas about him because he's getting on in years, but he doesn't seem to be slowing down. And Manie Libbok, be seeing if he can kind of pull the strings and kick his goals at number 10. He always gets put under the spotlight for his goal kicking, but there's no doubting that guy's ability to kind of unlock an opposition defense. Andre-Hugo and Lukhanyo is a pretty insane one to also be the second choice, I guess, at the moment. Springboks midfield combo. Lukhanyo ever since that injury, has kind of fallen below and informed Jesse Creel in the pecking order, but we also know what he can do if given a chance. Arendse is one of the few guys to kind of continue on from last week in the number 11 jersey. Mapimpi is there, in the number 14 jersey. Mapimpi's there on the left wing, and then Fassi, who featured against Wales a few weeks ago, is back there at fullback. So, yeah, a really, really changed box side from the one that faced Ireland the last couple of weeks. Andre-Hugo is also going to get his debut from the bench, Springbok dad. So it's always good to see those kind of father-son or brother combinations make their way into the national side. So it's a big achievement for him. Mchunu and Nyakane are the two prop replacements. Round Fenter will get his first cap for the Boks if he comes off the bench. Ulrich Lowe is another one of these kind of loose forwards in that loose forward pecking order for the Boks. He is on the bench, so good to see him back in the green and gold. Manie van der Berg, the Lions man, going to get his first Springboks cap if he comes off the bench. Likewise, Kuan Horn in the number 23 jumper. Like, the Lions have been playing some really easy on the eye rugby in the last season and a bit. So good to see these guys also get reward. And then Sasha Feinberg-Mngomezulu will have the number 22 jumper. He's also a newcomer in himself, but has taken to the test level like a duck to water, featuring a few times now. So, yeah, shame about the injuries, man. Like Mostert with his leg and Marks with his leg as well. It was interesting to see what Nigel Owens had to say about Caelan Doris being a bit lucky to not see red in that game, which a lot of fans kind of hinted at the time. And Peter Toit also injured means it opens the door for these other guys to get a chance. I feel like Rassi, because he mentioned in the last kind of week that they'd already internally named this side previously. So I feel like no matter the injuries, there were going to be guys that in this game got a chance to shine, because he is looking to kind of build some depth with an eye on the next World Cup. For Portugal, remember they played Namibia a week ago. So as I said, these guys have been in the area for a while, and they've made a few changes. It's the same front row: Fernandes, Bejic, and Ferreira. Scrum time is certainly going to be an interesting one for them, how well they can hold up. They've brought in another Fernandes. There's Nicolas Fernandes into the second row. He's a proper bit of tall timber at 2+ meters tall. You feel like having that bit of tall timber against the likes of a Snyman and Co will certainly be a useful guy to have. Torgal continues his spot from last week. Madeira, Pinheiro, and Baptista are the back rowers, so 2 guys promoted from the bench. Only Madeira keeps his jersey at number 6. Camacho continues on at number 9, and then Joris Moura is there at number 10. He was the bench guy at 10 for Portugal at the World Cup, so he's interestingly promoted to the starting jersey for this one. The midfield is still same with Appleton and Lima, and then it's the back 3 where you really get your kind of value for money or excitement with the Portuguese, because they really, really love spinning it. Like, I think it was both wingers and fullback scored against Namibia last week. You've got Mata, who's still there on the left wing. He had 64 metres and a try against Namibia. You've got Pinto, who was fullback last week, switches to the right wing. He had 103 metres and a try last week. And then Bento, who's kind of short for a fullback these days, only 1.7 something metres, so low, kind of, was a mid 5 feet. As I said, kind of short for a fullback, but he plays a lot of fullback in D2 in the French second division, and fullback and wing is his kind of usual position. So one would assume he's pretty adept at catching high balls. Don't watch enough Division 2 France to know for sure, but I'm sure he'll be in for a test in that department in the next kind of few days when the game kicks off. Bench-wise, David Costa comes in as the reserve hooker. Remember, he can also play prop, so they'll be looking to add a bit of beef from the bench when he comes on. Vincente and Kuna, the other front row replacements. And then some of the guys who played last week in the starting lineup, like Andrade and Cabral, dropped to the bench for this one. It's an interesting one that it's a 5-3 split for the Portuguese. Not tempted to beef the lineup up with an extra forward. Shame to see no Rafael Storti, because he really lit the World Cup up last year with his exciting play from the back 3, but I read that he had an injury at the end of the D2 season over in France, so I'm assuming he was kind of unavailable through injury. The captain, Thomas Appleton, did say it's a big game for them because they're a developing union for some of the players. They're playing against guys they're used to seeing on television, so you can kind of see what it means to them to be given this opportunity. So that is, as much as we would have liked Ireland South Africa Game 3, that is great news. Rassi said he wants the team to start faster. He's not happy with the way they started the first half last week, and stats-wise, I'm assuming he's not going to be happy with a couple of areas. Like the scrum looked great, but the line-out was at 82%, which for South Africa is pretty low. They're usually really secure under their own line-out ball. You get the feeling, and Rassi mentioned this as well, that the Portuguese will look to avoid kind of any lengthy set-piece battles as much as they can. And South Africa conceded 8 clean breaks against Ireland last week, which is also kind of uncharacteristically high. Portuguese do like to chuck it round, so they will try to break the line if you give them any space. So the South Africans will be looking to be defensively cohesive and sharp, one would imagine. The Portuguese, like I mentioned, beat Namibia 37-22. They only conceded 1 try. They scored 4 of their own. They offloaded 15 times. So they love to chuck the ball around. Their line-out, though, was at 64%, which was still better than the Namibian line-out. But if they are only at 64% against Namibia, they're going to be under even more pressure against South Africa. So you can expect quick line-out ball. If they have scrums on their own feet, they're going to want to get that ball out of there as quickly as possible. And they can score tries in a variety of ways, man. They scored one from a cross kick. They're happy to go to a maul. I don't know whether they're going to maul it against South Africa. I wouldn't have thought so, but it will be a fascinating one to watch. It is on at Bloemfontein, so good to see a game in the Free State. It's on a Saturday. It's a 5 o'clock local kickoff, which is again 3 o'clock in the morning for me, which is not ideal, but certainly I wouldn't miss this one for the world. Holly Davidson is the ref, certainly the best ref Scotland has at the moment. Kind of looking at you, Mike Adamson. Holly Davidson is genuinely a very good ref, so good to see her in charge for this one. Predictions-wise, it's the Boks by 36 with the bookies and 46 with the Rugby Forecast algorithm. You can bet your bottom dollar. The Portuguese, though, will be really up for this one because they don't get that many opportunities like this. As I said, first ever match between these sides. Subscribe to the channel if you're keen for more rugby content. It'd be good to have you along. And let us know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.